Hello, everybody. Welcome to live broadcast coverage of the Season 22 tournament main event. This is our first broadcast of the main event, the top 16 of the tournament. And joining me in the comms booth is none other than Harpo. How are you doing, man?
Hey, doing good. Just enjoying some nice games on here. And I'm about to do my Sands tournament game in about an hour or so.
Pretty exciting. So for this matchup, we got Eon and Oa going up against each other in Group C. Thoughts on this matchup? Do you know? I'm not sure if you've watched Eon play much LTS. I have not actually.
I've only seen him play HTS, and he's kind of similar to OA, where he has like a more rush-oriented style.
I see. So, previously, well, actually, maybe I shouldn't share that here in case I was listening onto the stream. Eon probably wouldn't appreciate that. I'll just say, Eon does have some stuff prepared for Oa that he was talking about. Whether that will be Rush or something else, that is going to be up to Oa to find out. But he says he has something special prepared for him. So I'm excited to see what that special thing is.
Yeah, I think Oa is a great player, but the criticism when it comes to his style is in a tournament setting, if you only have one type of play style that is rush, it's very easy to counter or counter book. And if Oa can't switch his play style, then it's like, okay, he's kind of limited to one option. And so it takes away the predictability element. And that's very important.
For sure. Alright, well, we are going to be starting very, very shortly. So we will move on to gameplay coverage as soon as they press the ready button. Reminder to the audience that this is a best of 3, so we will have two. It's required that somebody wins 2 matches. If they go to a draw, then it counts as no points, so we have to keep replaying until somebody wins 2 matches, essentially. Oh, Eon saying something broken about the lobby. Oh, 1 second. I see what it is. It is the... There we go. Yeah, it's the tournament setting. You have to manually set people as tournament participants, so maybe if somebody didn't have it, that's why, hence the delay. Alright, there we go. We are in.
No level 3 so far, okay.
Looks like Eon has gotten first turn.
I think
No
there's
level
a clear
3s.
There's a clear angle OA could have started to hit him with, but he's going to probably fight him pot himself.
Eon commenting, oh shit, with a Piccolo skin. Yeah, Oa rocking the King Piccolo outfit. So, interesting positioning by Eon, going into the bottom very early. What do you think of this, Harp?
If he's flightless, it might be difficult, because you have less options to maneuver now, against his flight. And yeah, I don't know how it's going to work out. Not too favorably, in my opinion. Flight's almost essential on this map, unless you're really good mechanically.
Oh, Oa missing the shock bomb though, that is not going to hit. And let's see if Eon can capitalize on this. Like you said, without flight though, it's gonna be quite difficult.
Yeah, because in a sense, you can always drop down a level much more easily than it is to go up a level. Because especially for these blocks, trying to do a precise jump is much more harder. You have to almost be pixel perfect.
For sure. Especially when it's 2, like, case of Eon. Oh, positioning himself right above Eon. pebbling down. Gets rid of the prop, but sets up the javelin, so now Oa does not have any flight.
Yeah, I think Eon's actually in a fine position.
And we see a leap coming out from Oa, or fairy jump as some people call it. Used to be called leap till Wilds was reworked. And Oa decides to back off here, interestingly enough, and pebble from afar. Doesn't do that much here, though. But I'm curious to see how Eon capitalizes on his position.
I think Flame Shield's a pretty good pick against a rush player, because it allows you to block a lot of attacks and kind of slow the pace of the game down.
Yeah, and especially with Eon's positioning, it's actually quite good. He's towards the bottom of the map, so most situations, Oa is going to be attacking from above, where Flame Shield can be the most effective. It's completely ineffective from the side or the bottom, but if you're always at the top, then it doesn't matter. So Oa might have BFTP. Yeah, and he does.
Yeah, BFTP is a decently common pick from Oa because it helps him set up a lot of damage moves.
Alright, what is Eon's response going to be? Oh, go ahead.
One issue I would see with Eon's playstyle here is, okay, he's flightless. Even with the Flame Shield kind of helping to protect against Oa's style, in the long term, it's going to be hard to move away from a lot of burning sands if he gets caught in an area. Oh,
and
shit.
There's a pretty bad mistake. Shock bombing himself. Now, how can Eon capitalize on this? Does he have big damage? No, just a mud now.
More damage would have been preferred, but he might not have that type of damage in this book, but who knows? Maybe his main damage is spear. Otherwise, he's still in a good spot.
I would say definitely, yeah. I mean, it's pretty good when, it's pretty bad for the rush player when they've wasted two turns shock bombing nothing. It's 2 Qs and you've used your shock bomb, so... But here's a Mega Boulder, and it's a pretty big one.
He has some counter offense, that's pretty good. But Eon has the mushrooms to kind of do a rope-a-dope technique for the Mega Boulder, help himself out a little bit.
Here comes the Whisper Arrow as well. Eon probably doesn't mind this too much, though. He's the one who's untrapped, and yeah, there comes a snare with tempo. Whisper Bomb now coming out from Oa. Sticks. Now Eon has to be a little bit careful because he is in kill range here.
And a Whisper Bomb or a Whisper Arrow plus a Burning Sands would be devastating. But he moved out of kind of the Burning Sands type area where it would spawn, so he's in an okay spot. It's still looking rough. And plus, Oa still has a bank out, so he can heal a little bit from damage.
For sure. Oh, the aura doesn't quite hit the bank, unfortunately. Well, putting himself in a good position here. I don't know if Eon has any mud balls left, even. If he does, it doesn't matter, because... Okay, never mind. Heals himself. He does have one left. So yeah, Oa has to burn a tower here. I'm curious to see, like, what Eon does now, because... He doesn't have a tower, he's out of mushrooms. Oa can maybe reach up there and if he's fast enough. Yeah, leap.
Oh, the leap.
But he doesn't have much time. Just gets it off.
Shot.
Beautiful shock bomb to close it out. And Oa's gonna take game 1 here.
Not normally be a very risky move to pull off, but Oa is one of the best aimers in the game. He's confident in his shots. That was picture perfect.
Yep, and we're already in game 2. This time, Oa getting the start. Oh, but he Qs.
It's a rough start.
And here comes Eon with the shock bomb, actually.
Good damage.
Now, I'm curious to see if Eon changed his book at all. Considering they got in the game so fast, maybe not.
Yeah, they did an instant rematch. So oftentimes people like to stall against rush players. Like, hey, I'm gonna hide away, try to wait out their offense, and stack prot shields or minions. But another counter to rush players, if you get the first initiative or attack, is to attack them back, and that's what Eon did with the shock bomb.
Yeah, and well, I'm surprised he didn't shock bomb again, to be honest, because now Oa can just tower and he's in a fine position, and he doesn't even detower Oa here with the pebbles. That's pretty rough. Oa's gonna have a lot of counterplay here. Yep, there comes the shock bomb. It's gonna do maybe not 80. Yeah, not quite 80, but still very good damage.
Angle.
Alright, Eon on the retreat here. And Oa is going to make haste. Doesn't have that much time. Maybe he can get off like a pebble or something though. Okay, just a bank.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. And Eon moving even more downwards. He has fusion in his book. Very interesting.
Fusion and mushrooms, it might be a good option against Oa, but I don't know in the long run if fusion's good if like a random burning sands hits you. But in the meantime, it seems like a pretty effective strategy.
A Q from Oa coming out here. If Eon's quick enough, he can capitalize on this. He has a good angle for a shock bomb.
Shock bomb, yes. Even if he gets some chip damage, that'll be fine.
Yeah, it will. He made a good progress of his movement. That's about 50 damage, not bad.
Yeah, this is another issue with being flightless. He would have to go all the way to the right, make these awkward jumps, and not even be able to reach him yet. Unless he has leap, but I don't think he does. He has too many spells, it seems like, to have leap.
I'm surprised he isn't going to use Mac Air. It looks like... Okay, they're both towering, but Oa has the high ground, so he can pebble downwards. So let's see if Eon has Flame Shield. If he has Flame Shield again, might be good. But yeah, he does have it. Okay, so now it's going to be difficult for Oa to make much progress. And UTB might work though, but now what? Just flashing, okay.
But Eon can still pebble, retain his tower. It won't totally defeat Oa's tower. Oa can fire a pebble back, but Eon would win that exchange if they just fire back pebbles.
Yep. Pebbles doesn't have enough damage to detower here, right? Yep, it doesn't.
But he's in BFTP range.
Okay, decides for Mud instead. I think I like that better than pebbling back, because the pebbles won't do that much damage afterwards. Leap out, though.
Beautiful leap.
And Whisper Bomb as a response.
But Eon has the initiative in this exchange, so... And he does he have Flame Shield, too. So I think he's winning. But OA does have the bank out.
Yeah, so Oa can... If Oa can get good damage here, it might be very nice. Okay, if Eon's quick enough, he can go to the side and send a Shock Bomb or a Mega Boulder. But, yeah.
Even a Whisper Bomb would have been a good position.
Mega Boulder. Oh. Wow, big damage coming out from the Mega. That was
a perfect Mega Boulder.
Yeah, that was as good a bounce as he can ask for. Mega back, but... I don't know, Harpo. I mean...
The bank helped him heal some HP, so that is nice.
Yeah, I was thinking... No, he doesn't... It's not enough damage. What Eon needs is... He needs to go to higher ground now.
Or tower, like, right next to him. If you could have towered... that was a very risky shock bomb.
It was very risky, yeah.
A Whisper plus an Aura would be very devastating.
Just a whisper to start.
The idea would be to tower next to the mud. It would open up land to the top part of that, and so he could access a shock bomb afterwards and be in a safe position.
Oh, Burning Sands armor gonna chip Eon down a little bit here. Just a fusion. He wants Oa to de-tower, because Oa is in dangerous kill range. Like a mega could kill him, but just a whisper to start.
And I think both of them have used a lot of their mushrooms, so it's gonna be hard for Eon to recover.
Santa's magic from Eon here, very interesting choice.
Like, he's playing very creatively with his spellbook making, but he has Christmas Tree in his book. I feel like having those 2 spell slots are kind of a waste. He could have used for something else.
Yeah, something like even a flight or a Mac Air for mobility. Just something to reach Oa easier to maybe close out the position when he has an advantage. Sands of Time as well. So he has 3 teleports in his book? Maybe he doesn't have Gate then. That's the case.
That's wild.
And he TP's right next to Oa. Gets hit with some Burning Sand. Oh, yeah. Oa can close out here with just a Shock Bomb even. And that's gonna be game. Oa's going to take this 2-0. And quite a strong performance here from Oa.
Yeah, that was very strong.
Alright, we'll see if either of them would like to come in for an interview. Let's see. Okay, Oa will come in. I'll see if I can get a response out of Eon. Alright, I will drag Oa in. Move us to the interview interface. And update the score. Alright. Welcome in, Oa. GG's and congrats on the win.
Hey, thanks, man.
So, how'd you feel about, I would say Rush versus Rush matchup, sort of?
Yeah, I would classify what Eon had as Rush. I think taking Fire Shield against another Rush player doesn't make you not Rush. It's just it's smart. But yeah, he was definitely playing a Rush book.
What did you have? What were your thoughts? I suppose on his book in general, because it wasn't just Rush, but it was like he had some very interesting choices: Sands of Time, Santa's Magic, and not really any other mobility other than the teleports.
So, I would say in general, like he knows he's fighting a Rush book. That Santa's Time and Santa's Magic is not as good. Those spells are very, very strong when you're the one chasing. But if it's a very confrontational game and I'm meeting you right in the middle, Sands of Time's not really doing anything. Like, you're buying time, but your book doesn't really have like a lot of late game application. Like, it's fusion. Yeah, I don't think you have blood bank, so it's like just fusion and the 4 uses of shrooms, and then Frost Shield, which we both had. So, given that his game plan is definitely to kill me as early as possible, and he knows I'm not going to be gating away unless if I'm horribly losing, in which case he probably doesn't need to chase me anyway because of the Arma, then it's his book is good. It's definitely good. It's just I would probably have swapped out one of the extra like teleportations with like a blood bank or something, or like whisper, just something to give him the edge. Because if you saw in our game, I made several mistakes, but because I have the ability to attack him from behind, terrain, that was the key in both of them. It wasn't. It was exclusively because I'm able to whisper him that got me the win, because I could just sit there and hit him all day long and he can't do anything about it. Because he doesn't really want to leave, because if he leaves, then I'm just able to set back up with Prot Shield and so forth. But I thought his book was good. You probably just want one, or you probably don't want both Sans and Santa's Magic, but that's just me.
Yeah, we were saying, or at least I was saying, well, we were talking about the position, especially in game 1, where he went towards the bottom of the map, and he didn't have flight or anything to, get himself back up or chase back up. So he had to rely just on jumping movement, and with not the best terrain on top of that, it was very hard for him to chase you. Do you feel like bringing flight in your book gave you an advantage in that type of scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you think about it, there were several times where I made critical mistakes where I was able to leave and then come back with an attack angle on the very next turn. Where something like with his book, he's not able to do that. If he runs away to just shroom up or to get a better position to attack with, if I go the opposite direction, he's just stuck there hoping I come back. Or he's got to use Santa's Magic, which lets me get a tempo on him, or Sands of Time, which, Sands of Time is a very interesting spell in of itself, but it still, is a turn. So Flight, being able to reposition and then attack on the next turn from whatever angle I want to, is killer. And when you're fighting somebody, just straight up damage, you're just lobbing damage at each other.
Yeah, it helps you kind of dictate or initiate when you want to move in and when you want to move out. And that's
Exactly.
like a big part of tens is like the flow of offense versus defense.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact I had Blood Bank means that if we're going mega for mega, as long as you're above the 125 HP threshold, you're he can't afford to mega boulder me if I get the first one off, or if I'm having Blood Bank just allows you to win those mega v mega fights, and I think they're incredibly important because the kicker is probably not going to be Shock Bomb in most games. It's probably going to be Mega Boulder. So just being able to get above that threshold and know that he can't even respond with a Mega Boulder because he'll lose if he does is super important.
Well, the Blood Bank was actually pretty critical in game 2, it seems like.
Yeah.
You were about 62 HP, and you were pretty low after he hit a pretty solid Mega Boulder at a nice angle. But then you went into flight, you fired back, and with the Blood Bank out, you're able to damage him and heal up enough HP to be at a range which make him consider not attacking you back.
Yeah, so in that turn, I thought if he spears me, I'm losing heavily. I can't, if he spears, because spear was up, I'm pretty sure. And if he spears me there, I'm really at a loss here. I have to gate away and just hope for an opportunity to attack him. But when he mudballed me, because I had Blood Bank out, you're absolutely right. I know that I'm just going to, after I Mega Bouldered, I just know that I'm able to Whisper him, and he can't attack me back. So I'm just, he's forced to Tower, Pro Shield, Fusion, whatever, and take pressure off of me, which allows me to escape the trap for free and not have to be worried about dying. So yeah, Blood Bank, you're absolutely right, was very critical in that second one as well. I think that, when you're fighting Rush v Rush, Blood Bank is just, it's so, even if you're taking a book that's not Rush, it's more mid-rangey, if you start out with because there's so many turns on this map where you're doing nothing. You're just moving and then you're swarming or you're auring or whatever. If you just summon a Blood Bank out, it makes it so hard to rush somebody out, because they just, if they respond with damage and they're gaining HP, it just, you have to, it makes it more coin flippy rather than me making the first move and getting an HP advantage.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
there's a lot of do nothing turns, as you just said, and so if you bring 4 dead spell slots almost of Sands of Time, which requires Worm, and if you bring Santa's Magic, which requires Christmas Tree, that's 4 spell slots of for other spells, you could have been doing something else at least, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like there's a little bit of a book efficiency in there, and I don't know. Also, with he had like fusion and fire shield, it was almost kind of like a mixture of like rush and a little bit of heal / stall, but it wasn't done in like a coherent way. So he was trying to like, if you're trying to like make a book or spell book build, he wasn't like having a comprehensive goal of what he was trying to build. He's trying to go in one direction and in another direction, but it doesn't really synergize well.
Right. No, I agree. I think that he was kind of folding over himself a little bit. I think in terms of against me, his book matched up okay, because it's like you saw he had a clear advantage against me multiple times when I made mistakes. I think that if he took out Fire Shield and put in Mac Air, it makes his book a lot just a lot more. I mean, it substitutes for flight kinda, and then it's like there are several situations where he got away and he clock towered, where if he Mac Aired, I wouldn't be able to get to him anyway, and then he can just fly right back and then Mega Sui me or anything like along those lines. But I agree. I think, you know, because it is a huge opportunity cost to include Sands of Time and Santa's Magic in your book, which is why it's like you probably just need one, and you might not even need Gate at all, if I'm being honest. Like there are some situations that I've played on this map where it's like I don't even bother gating out. It's like, and if I just had like an additional coverage spell or something for rush, I don't even need to do it. I just let them tree drain me if they need to, and then I just kill them through it. But I take it because in these high pressure scenarios, I don't really play super well. So it's a good crutch. But
yeah,
you made some good shots with that high pressure though. Like there was like 2 seconds, you had to move a little bit, and to close out the game, you did some nice like shock bombs. Like that was pretty nice.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that last one, I kind of had on game 1. I had to send it. Like as soon as I detowered, I didn't have any choice but to send it. I have to leap up, and I have to make it because there's no other. I'm putting all my eggs into one basket. There's no recovery, so like I was very very fortunate to lock in there. But I mean, Eon played. He's a beast, man. Like he kind of does it all. He'll rush me one game and then kind of play slower the next one, and there's been times where he's just completely stomped me because I make a mistake and he punishes me so extreme that I can't come back. So I think that, you know, he absolutely could have taken that set if it had just gone a little bit more his way.
So one more thing before we wrap this up. Your next opponent is going to be either the winner of or excuse me, not either. Your next opponent is going to be the winner of JG Salem and Zartak. How are you feeling about facing either of those?
Yeah, like Zartak, I think, is an extremely strong player, and he kind of oscillates between being extremely strong and then making kind of like doing what I do, where he'll just throw like the most haymaker shot imaginable that is definitely not the best case move. So like I guess it really depends on what Zartak's showing up. If he's feeling super competitive, he's a extremely tough opponent with a lot of experience and can rush me just as well as I can rush. So that's a tough one. I feel like it could go. It's probably more favored to him, but you know, who knows? JG Salem, he's also, I mentioned it in the last tournament. He's one of the definitely one of the best newer players to start learning the game. I know he's played for a while, but he's kind of like taken more to the competitive side in the last few months, and he's just constantly surprising me. So I don't know. Like I don't feel. Normally, I'm very confident in my ability to rush out either player, but this time I feel like it could definitely go either way. I definitely respect those two opponents a lot. So I want to say that, you know, if I'm making my shots, I'm probably gonna win. But it really just, you know, it comes down to that. Do I make my shots or do I miss? Like in game 1, I tried to do a very easy shock bomb, but there was a little tiny piece of land missing that I didn't see because I was scrolled out, and it made the shock bomb go right. There's so many things on this map that are like that you have to watch out for. But yeah, I am very very excited to play whoever wins there. It's going to be an exciting match.
Yep. Well, anyways, thank you very much, Oa, for joining us. Always great to hear your thoughts on not just the match, but other things in general, sort of also how going through your thinking process, I think, is also something very interesting, because you take a very unique approach to the game. So, great to have you in, and GG's on your win, and good luck in your future matches.
Thank you. I'll be watching. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Take care, man.
All right. Well then, coming up next on Arcanist tournaments, we have a very big match. None other than Harpo, who we'll have another commentator come in and replace that. Has already been decided. We'll have a guest commentator actually, but it will be Harpo and Spork, a very big heavyweight matchup in Group B that many people are looking forward to. So I will go on intermission for just a few minutes, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned, everyone. Harpo versus Spork coming up next. Welcome back, everyone. We got the Group B matchup versus none other than Spork and Harpo, and joining me for guest comms is none other than Strength Power DX. How are you feeling, man?
Hey man, hey everybody. It's cool. I've never commentated before, so this should be fun. This is a special matchup, so I thought I'd hop on.
Yeah, I know you were really looking forward to commentating it. Two of your friends, two of your good friends.
Yeah. This is an interesting group. I mean, you got. What really is like, okay, you got Cryo, Spork, and Harpo. They're all pretty strong, and Miley can like upset people too, I think. I haven't seen too much of Miley. I can't really comment too much on her, but this does seem like one of the harder groups to make it out of, regardless of kind of where you stand. I think Spork is the favorite going into this, but you can't really count out Harp, especially on a map like this. You never really know. You get a good BFTP off. Just like, so you never know. I really think you never know. I think they both have killer instincts as players. Spork has slight advantages in like other areas, but if one of them messes up and there's like a blunder, I do think the other could close. So should be a good match.
Yep. Well put analysis. It is really it's not a very one-sided matchup at all. It's actually quite an even matchup. I would also agree with you that Spork is a favorite, but not a very big favorite. Just still a favorite.
Yeah, he's got the slight edge, just from past performance that we know of him. But again, this is a new map. We don't know exactly what people are gonna bring. It's still early on in the tournament. And this is probably the most volatile the tournament's going to be. As the tournament progresses, people start refining their books, their strategies, their openers. But at this point, it's not all refined. So if Harpo wants to make a slight upset, this is his opportunity. I think this is his best chance right here.
For sure. This match will really come down to the big mistakes, I think. Who will make them, who won't, and if they do make them, can they capitalize on them? I agree that this is also very volatile phase, and we are underway. Looks like Spork got first turn.
So it does look like Spork took flight. Having that mobility on flight just seems really crucial. We've seen people kind of take flightless, and looks like Harpo's mirroring that. So this is going to be interesting on a flight v flight matchup. Oftentimes it could be like who gets that first momentum lead, and how you manage your prots.
Something I want to comment is that the map, it's much more open than a lot of other desert maps. Like, there's not that much terrain in general.
Yeah, the in-between, if you can see, like, there's in-between, like, there's openers. Nothing's necessarily closed off. So no matter where you go in the map, considering both have flight, and, they're not, as long as their flight is up, they should generally be able to traverse here and there. But looks like Harpo TP's away, and to the left seems like a good call just because Spork is a very fast player. He'd be able to capitalize on that. But Spork could get a shock bomb here, maybe? Yes.
Wow, that was some impressive speed coming out from Spork, and he still has a shock shield up too. So Harpo's on the back foot early.
Yes, and Harpo needs to mud here or something. Oh, he missed.
Oh no.
No, that's really bad. Spork here, he could go for a sync. He could just go for damage. He doesn't necessarily need to sync either. But he gets the sync and the damage. He gets both. So he brought clock. So he has clock and he has shock shield. Now he's in a very strong position.
Yeah, this is a massive lead coming out of the gate from Spork. He came to play. And a portal grab too.
And he took portal. Look at that. Okay. Harpo right now, I mean, he can run away to the center, but Spork can catch up to him very easily here.
Are we gonna see a flash sync, perhaps?
We could. He has the time for it, so let's see if he goes for it.
Yep,
Yep.
very nice.
Had some time to spare too. And yeah, and now with that portal, Spork has access to the entire map. So Harpo goes right above him. Really, you could TP on his head, but if you don't want to take that risk and you want to just, you know, the shock shield up. Oh, I guess a swarm up. I would have probably got a shock shield up. But you really can't go wrong here, to be honest. And what Spork can do is he can kind of use his swarm and eventually maybe like zone off the other parts of the map. Shock shield here. Ah,
I
see,
see.
Spork's getting greedy here.
Yeah, he's getting greedy. He tried to go for
So we
the
saw-
shock bomb.
Yeah, and if Harpo has flash here, he could kind of get a little bit of momentum back. He's still down a lot. But we'll see here, and he gets that extra 15 from hitting the border. Yeah, I would have just look. You gotta just shock shield there. I mean, even if you get mudballed, you can flash. You have prots up. You don't have to be greedy. With that said, Spork's lead is so large that it shouldn't really matter. He still has a swarm up too, and he has an access to a portal close by, so
I
should
agree.
be still fine.
Yeah. Yeah, this is still a massive lead for Spork, make no mistake. Harp at least, you know, not completely out of it yet, I'd say, but he's pretty down.
Yeah, and we're on turn, what, 11? I mean, or 12 here. So we have, you know, if you're Spork, you have plenty of time to kind of close things out. And Harpo, again, you know, misses his turn. He really needed to get that mud ball off there. Spork doesn't need to do too much. Just play it simple, you know, block him or something. You have tremendous lead. Flash out of the mud balls, right? Get your swarm out and just close the game. You know, he can very easily close out this game. And like I said, these players both have great killer instincts. Spork kind of rushed into it, like his killer instinct was a little too killer. He tried to like close it a little too quickly, but yeah, this should be GG for game 1.
Yeah, a dominant performance by Spork game 1, capitalizing on some big mistakes from Harpo. What do you think of the game, DX? Do you think
Well,
or rather the state of the series? I mean, do you think Harpo can come back?
well, look, I mean, Harpo made a big mistake. His positioning was off, and he let himself not only get clocked for free, but also get sunk. And when you give up, you know, like 120 to 50 HP in your gate, you know, on like turn, what, like 4 or 5 or whatever it was, it's hard. I think Harpo has a chance, but he can't make mistakes like that. Not against a player like Spork. Spork, he will capitalize on your mistakes, even if they're kind of small. And so if you make large mistakes like that, it's just not going to work out.
For sure. Well, we're into game 2 now. Both of them, again, mirroring Reflect to open, and Harp putting out a bank immediately.
It is a good shock off angle if you can get it. Oh, yes.
Right
Now,
under
I would
Harp.
obviously prefer to hit the bank, but I think Harpo's in a good spot here because it didn't hit the bank. So here I would just mudball. You have the bank out. You don't need to rush into anything. And he goes for a tangle. So this is actually very interesting. Now, if you're Spork here, you have Swarm. You have to slow down the game a little bit. I would not have Swarm there, though. I think preferably you mud him and you make him tower or something, and then you get your Swarm out. The tower here, I don't know if it makes too much sense either, unless you don't have a better move. Interesting stuff. Spork opts to just go aggro, even though, you know, he is tangled. He knows he's going to be detangled within 2 turns using his own swarm. And that's kind of like what I was getting at with the tower. I'm not really sure about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Harpo-
Very questionable tower.
Yeah, and kind of questionable aura too. I don't know exactly what it accomplishes. Yeah, you chip the swarm a little bit, but
It helps Spork get out of the tangle as well.
yeah, and now Spork setting up that SS, you know, he wants to go aggro. Now, when you play against SS, it's kind of like you're fishing, right? Like, you don't want to kind of pull the fish in too early. You kind of want to, you know, let it exhaust itself a little bit, waste a few turns. So Harpo's goal here should just be like, how can I stall a little bit? Turn operations here matter a lot. We'll see. If Harpo here, he just needs to, if he has stally turns, he can like kind of enact. He should use them. The portal is interesting. I don't know if he has shock shield. We don't know his exact book. We know he has tangle, but we don't know his exact book. But Spork gets a beautiful portal grab.
Yeah, triple hit on with the aura. Harp's probably only at 5 now. Very beautiful portal grab.
Yes, it is beautiful. Now, with having Tangle, there is the benefit of being able to just say, you know what, I'm gonna just keep tangling you if you get tempo on me. But you have to play quickly. You have to make decisions quickly. You can't. Let's see what he does here. So he chooses the mud ball here. If Spork's fast, he can go from the right and do something there. He could even flash, to be honest, and deflight Harpo, get his swarm to the right side. There's just so many things to like micro here, right? Like we see these players like they're not, and I'm guilty of it myself. It's really hard to just account for everything, like move all your swarms correctly and do everything, because the map's kind of big too.
It is a big map. Even with 75% width, it's a pretty big map.
Yeah, it's a big map. It's hard. The portals help though. The portals absolutely do help. And we see Spork. He's like, hey, I have the tempo on you. I have a swarm out. I have a prod advantage. You just use your gate. You're on low ground. I'm going aggro on you. I'm not gonna let you stall or anything like that. And Spork has great portal control. Like he could just go to the other side of the map very
And
cleanly.
pebble down.
Yeah. He's got to start moving that swarm over to the middle, and then just pebble down. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful job by Spork.
What do you think?
So-
What do you think Harp's game plan is here? Because we're looking at him; he's in a very disadvantaged position. Spork can just keep doing this, use the portal, keep portal grabbing him. Swarm's moving closer. So
I don't think Harp necessarily has a solid game plan in mind. I mean, he's got Tangle, which, you know, it's good for stopping momentum, right? But he's also got like that portal and everything, and his book has a lot of different elements. I think ultimately, because he has Tangle, what he can do is he can basically say, hey, I want to slow down the game. Like if Spork uses Shock Shield here, let's see if it knocks Harpo up a little bit. Can Harpo get out? Now go tangle him. Okay. If he goes and tangles him, see what he does here, and he needs to.
goes for damage.
Okay.
Okay.
He goes for damage. I don't know about this, because you see Spork just used his Shock Shield. And what I was saying earlier is, when the Shock Shield just goes up and it's very fresh, you don't want to necessarily go and engage on that. It doesn't make sense. Maybe when the Shock Shield's about to go out, when the Shock Shield is, you know, a turn or 2 turns away from being used up, yeah, go ahead and start engaging, you know, throw that clock in there or whatever you want to do. But when it's just fresh and active like that, it's very tricky. So
Oh,
you see
Spork
Spork,
misses the portal.
he tried to go and
Gets it off
and he
in
gets
time.
the clock off. Yeah, he gets it off in time. If he did not get it off in time, then Harpo would have, you know, been quite advantaged. But he can just mudball him here. And he goes for the... Okay, remember he has bank out. He has bank.
Yeah,
so
that is huge
the
damage.
fact that the fact that he has bank helps him quite a bit.
Counter
we'll see
Mega?
this-
No, just a drain, playing it safe. That makes perfect sense. And he gets it onto the swarm.
Yes. Okay, what does he choose to do here? Does he have... Okay, the mud ball was safe. I was thinking maybe he has like a BFTP that he could use. Now they're both using their mushrooms. We see mushrooms, a lot of people are using them, especially when you're just trying to go aggro at each other. Spork is in an advantageous position here. And Harpo's making the right call by just moving out, saying, "Hey, I don't want to engage. This is
It's a losing battle.
it's a losing battle, exactly."
Yeah, I would say Spork still has control over this game. He has the swarm out. He has the tempo advantage, really.
Yeah.
But with Tangle, especially the Arma coming out now, you never know. I mean, the Arma's starting to chip away at Spork's prot already.
Yeah, I mean, and Spork's getting out of there. He recognizes this, like, hey, I don't want to be here. He's really doing a lot. Like, he's really trying to do a lot with that swarm. I would have, sometimes you have to just say, you know what, it's too much. Maybe I'm just gonna just move my character or focus on like my attack or whatever it may be. But Harpo opts to flash here. And Spork, he has a good angle for a pebble. He opts to go for it, but he probably muds maybe? Yeah, you want to mud there because at the end of the day, the pebble's not going to do tower. And
then you're just gonna get mudded yourself, and you're gonna be in a pretty bad spot, to be honest. Or not
Right,
really a bad
right.
spot, but like, it's not ideal.
Right, yeah. Now, if you could pebble him, and if you get the right angle, it's nice. And then you can just tower out if he muds you back. Yep.
Ooh, knocks
And he
Harp.
gets
Knocks
knocked.
Harp. Wow,
Yeah.
beautiful. Harp has flight, though. We'll see what he tends to use it for.
Yeah,
Looks
mud
like a
here
mud.
makes sense. Mud here definitely makes sense, just to get the tower out of Spork, and then kind of like go down again, and focus on your prot. Swarm doesn't quite hit.
He tried to hit with the swarm, didn't quite work. Yeah, pretty rough.
Not quite work. Yeah, it is rough. I would not even focus on the swarm too much myself. I would maybe just go to the left of my bank, and then maybe like prod instead.
Oh wow, two Burning Sands instances come out, and they're hitting Harp to DT tower. That's really unfortunate.
Now if Harp goes, left of his bank, which is the spot where there is no Arma, and maybe towers, let's see if he does that. It's smart to put the bank to the left of him, because if Spork tries to do like a sync play, that's like at least one more second of movement. Might help if he's flighted, but he micros that beautifully, and it basically doesn't matter. So very good micro by Spork. Very risky. I mean, like, look, an Arma just popped up to the left of Spork. If that hits Spork, it'd be kind of scary. Now let's see if he can close. There's two portals that are kind of zoning off Spork's ability to close there. But let's see. And
very
the portal
unfortunate.
he probably didn't want to be in. And he prod shields, but he's gonna go through the left portal now.
Yeah, and
that
actually works out very well for him. Yeah, that's probably what he wanted, to be honest, because Spork can't use the portal now.
Right. Now, does he have like a BFTP here or something where he can just sort of out of this, or does he drain? Drain is a good move. Okay. So he's not necessarily in kill range anymore. And I think he has more mud balls left.
Yeah, Mega Sui kills because of the Arma.
Yeah.
Oh, but Spork doesn't do it. I think
not want to go for it. Maybe it fails or something.
Yeah, to be fair, when you're doing it from below, it's very risky. It sometimes fails. I remember seeing that in
Yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah,
didn't go for it.
Harp didn't really have a move left. He just went for the clock.
He
Very
might have not
unfortunate.
had a tower or something there, yeah. But interesting game, very interesting game.
Well, let's see if either of them would like to come in for an interview. I'm sure, surely one of them would be very interested in. All right, Spork does
Spork's
say yes.
definitely, yeah, Spork's definitely inclined to join.
All
my
right,
God.
there we go.
Oh,
Both of them joining in.
too.
All right, well, GG's you two. Welcome in. I mean, I guess I should ask. I'll ask Spork first. Thoughts on the 2 games you just played?
Yeah, so I thought they were good games. I mean, the second one was definitely more, I guess, balanced. First one felt like both had a few key mistakes there. Kind of made it probably more interesting for the viewers. But I don't know, the shock bomb that I did is definitely weird. I don't know. But overall, I thought it was a good series. I like seeing some Portal play because I feel like we haven't seen a lot of Portals up to this point.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, from my vantage point, Spork, that first game, Harpo you misclicked that mud ball, and that kind of just threw you off. And then Spork got a clock and a sink, and then Spork's lead was so large that he just said, you know what, I'm just gonna go and try to finish it, and that's when he like shock bombed himself. But it didn't even matter because he was so far ahead.
Yeah, it was just my mouse. My mouse would just be weird. It happens occasionally. I would just trying to hold my ball to like hold the power, but I think it just did a single click, so I just let it go early. So kind of
Yeah.
It happens.
What were your Spork took Portal with SS. Harpo, you took Portal too. What was your thoughts on like your book, like your strategy there? Like, can you give us like a rundown of kind of what you were going for?
I forgot what I exactly brought. I brought a fusion instead of blood bank, and my idea was, okay, I can try to entangle him and keep my position away from him, blood bank, and then kind of go. Oh, I also had pine cone over mushrooms too, so I had kind of like a more like longevity type book. Like, okay, I'll keep him at bay with entangle, hide away, and then when the burning sands kind of fuck things up, I can maybe go in for a kill, or he tries to do a bunch of clocks and megas against me, waste his resources, and I can heal up with fusion. So that was kind of it. I didn't have Forest Seed, and so I was being greedy a little bit, and I was like, okay, I haven't seen much use of Forest Seed, but then Spork pretty much destroyed me with Forest Seed, and plus with me not having Forest Seed, it kind of was harder to put his portals and shock shield at bay.
I see. Yeah, there was like one instance where Spork was kind of like, it was a second game. Spork was a little bit ahead, and he came out of like a portal or something, and he just activated shock shield, and he chose to clock him. I really thought you were gonna go for a tangle to like set up again a little bit more. What was your mindset at that point? Do you know what I'm referencing?
Yeah, I remember what you're referencing. Entangle was probably the right play, but I was also at a disadvantage for not having Swarm, because my mindset going into the game was Spork's a better Tens player, and I'm not going to try to compete with him on a generic Swarm versus Swarm type of battle, and so that's why I didn't brain it. But the Swarm definitely was good at countering Entangle, and my thought was, okay, I'm not going to beat Spork unless I try to pressure him with damage and put him on the back foot. Because I think I've had a little bit of success against Spork in the past when I've been able to apply offensive pressure, but the clock there was probably the wrong play. But I don't know.
Yeah, and Spork. So apparently you're in the group of death. Does that make you shiver? Like, how do you feel about your group, and how do you feel about Cryo and Miley Hannah?
I mean, It certainly does look like it's a difficult group. It's, in particular, like it's probably the most difficult group to get out of in terms of getting one of the first or second place. Just looking at everything, I was afraid it was actually going to get even worse. Because TKA could have joined in as well, and he seems very in form and he's very practiced in LTS. Not to say anything against Smiley or anything, but I think TKA has a lot of experience in that end. So, but either way, it's still a quite difficult group. And I'm not sure what we're gonna see here, but I'm still very confident in my own gameplay, and I think that's important because once you stop being confident, you start to make more mistakes. So I think being confident you'll win is important.
Yeah. Do you think like your strategy, your book, do you think it's kind of refined at this point, or do you think there's still a lot of kind of guesswork with what you want to take? You're still figuring things out.
I've got quite a few different books, and I haven't really zoned in on anything. I don't know. With this set's similar to Dark Fortress, and I think there's quite a few different strategies that can work. It's maybe a bit more refined than Dark Fortress in the sense of like, okay, certain like Cryo's Sank strategy would really struggle on here. I think. I don't think Sank would work that well, just because Man Trap's not good, A, and then B, it's hard to even get use Sank on someone with the verticality on the map. But there's still a lot of room for different books.
Okay.
Well, Harp, you might be down, but you're not out yet. You will be facing the loser of Miley and Cryo. How do you feel about going into that matchup, and do you feel confident that you will be able to make it to the playoffs regardless of this match's outcome?
Probably not. I feel like Cryo's gonna beat Miley. I'll beat Miley myself, and I don't know how exactly the bracket works, but if I'm able to play Cryo after, I think he's a better tens player, even though he could probably go even. I'm not the sharpest at tens right now. Miley's actually a pretty underrated tens player for not doing the set that much, and I think she could maybe take a game off. But if I face Cryo, he's probably going to win, but maybe I can catch him off guard. I don't know.
I see. Well, we'll see what happens. This really is a very hard to predict group. I mean, we when we drew it, we called it the group of death. DX also just called it the group of death. I agree with him. Just based on the players and their past performances, it is a tough group draw. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll see what happens. If you guys have any final thoughts on the tournament, the settings, anything else you want to say before we move on to our next matchup?
No.
Nothing from me. Can't wait to see next matchup and see where our group and all the groups go.
All right. Well then, in that case, GG's. Congratulations, Spork. We were saying you played very, very sharp, and your win was quite deserved. And good luck in your next matches, Harp. Although you're down, like I said, you're still not out. So we wish you the best of luck in your next matches as well, and the best of luck at getting out of the group.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Boys. Thank you.
Alright then, well, that was Harp versus Spork. You blink and you miss it. It was quite a quick series. No draws or anything like that, or 50-turn games, but still one of the most heavily anticipated matchups. And although it might be done, we still will have more very big matchups coming up. Because coming up next is going to be NyamaYang or NyamaYang and Unity. But we will head to a short break first, so we'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back to even more coverage of the Season 22 tournament. This one will be Group D's first matchup between NyamaYang and Unity, two relatively new players. And joining us for comms will be DX and Harpo this time. So yeah, we will be getting into the game shortly, but anything you guys want to say regarding this matchup?
I think I played Unity in my qualifier, and the guy is he surprised me. He's actually really he's a pretty good player. And if he works on a kind of a little bit of strategy here and there, he could be a really great player. So I think this guy is a new player. Kind of joined around Steam time. So it's cool seeing someone like that. I haven't seen too much of Nyama. Is it Nyama?
Nyama.
Nyama. I haven't seen too much of Nyama, but he's made it this far, right? So clearly he's got something going for him. So this should be interesting.
Yeah, I played Nyama in my qualifier, but the qualifier didn't count. There's some just weird confusion, but I still ended up playing Nyama, and they beat me, honestly. Even though the game didn't count, they beat me on the 10 sands match. I'm also a little rusty, but that's no excuse. So they're a pretty good player. They have good tens mechanics. They have good spell books. So yeah, I'm excited to see how they play.
Yeah, and we got the game starting. Neither of them having level 3 spells, but one of them casting Fight, the other one not. And Unity was the one who got first turn, interestingly enough. Nyama has Flight, Unity does not, or appears to not. Just didn't cast it if he did. Life Dew coming out from Unity, though.
Yeah, the Life Dew is interesting. I mean, it does give you maybe some options down the road. And, a Life Dew for a bank is not a bad trade. And it looks like he does have Flight, though. So Life Dew is interesting. It's not something I would take, but again, these are new players, like relatively speaking, right? So they can approach the game in ways some of us who've played longer might not, and I think that's pretty cool. So looks like Nyama messed Mudball there, but Idea was right. And Unity, I remember this Flesh Wound, be using it against me too. Um, very interesting opener. It helps, I think. Here's the thing: if I were to tell Unity, something about if you do want to incorporate Flesh Wound, you're probably better off using it, unless you have no other better spells, using it when their HP is a little lower, because that's when they're more likely to use a mushroom or something like that, right? If they want to start popping their mushrooms and you get in that exchange where you're kind of lower HP, like around 100, then that Flesh Wound can really start kicking in. But using it at this juncture, you can kind of wait those 3 turns or whatever out and then start mushrooming up. But right now it still looks fairly even. I don't know.
Yeah,
Looks like,
Unity burned a couple of muds. Nyama responded with a tower, but now they're going to be detowering and flighting out, which is interesting.
yeah, and one thing I'm looking for here is, yes, the game will kind of maybe go back and forth a little bit, but do these players know how to close? Or does it end up where, especially
nice.
being... It's a good play there. Yeah, it's a very good play. Does it kind of end up being a situation where maybe one of them gets a lead, the other kind of teleports away, or stalls a little bit, and then they kind of get their setup back? So that's kind of the distinguishing factor. Do they have that killer instinct to kind of close games? But so far, let's see what Nyama chooses to do.
Gate out,
See,
very
I'll-
interesting.
Seems to have a slight tempo. He probably could have BFTP to the right, jumped out, and had a counterattack on Unity instead of BFTP to the left. And now Nyama's down a bank. Believes he has his axes going, so maybe he's going to start boosting the damage for them. But it seems like Unity's up a tempo. He's probably going to be reaching his prot shield soon and be up 100 prot.
Also, something to know is that Nyama's on the side of the map, whereas Unity's in the middle as the Arma starts, and Armas might they're gonna reach Nyama first, so that could
And he was
be
also
a big
discouraged.
factor.
And he was also discouraged going towards the center of the map because Unity had kind of that center control. If I go to the center, then Unity's going to attack me. So he's kind of forced to stay off to the side, and that's where, like you said, the burning sands are going to start to take more effect.
And if this description is accurate, the axes will bypass that fire shield, right?
Yeah, very interesting counter there. I suppose you could say that not a lot of people bring because I mean to be fair, not Fire Shield isn't the most brought spell. I mean, I know a lot of LTS players have claimed it's a very annoying spell to face, but we see one spell that Nyama brought is somewhat of a solution to it, so it'll be interesting to see that dynamic play out.
Yeah, and these look like the same sort of books that these players took to qualify. So, with the life dues and the axes, I remember these spells being cast. And this is also kind of what I was saying. We had that exchange, that skirmish early on the right side of the map of all those muds and mushrooms. And then, you have this lull period where... Oh my god, that spear.
We're so close.
That's so close. But he had this lull period where, they're just kind of setting up again before going in. And the Flesh Wound comes out. It's going to give you a nice 60 bit of damage. Opposite BFTP. Does he get his spear back?
Is he going to...
Spear again. And...
Not the best
almost...
mega.
Yeah, kind of lackluster mega. I think spear there may have been a little bit better. And now you see Unity just say, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. I just want to, and it's not. None of them necessarily have a clear lead in any sense. When it comes down to these type of games where people aren't pressing, it does matter. Like spell usage, like Nyama used the Mega Boulder or something, and then they both recover, and then one of them uses another Mega Boulder. The games can come down to these little details.
For sure, Mega being only 2 uses and using one of them for not really much tempo gain, I would say. I mean, Unity just treed and their position just resets. They're now on the opposite side of the map. It's not it's not ideal in any case.
Yeah, no tempo gain really whatsoever. And right now neither player has a clear lead, but Nyama does have axes and spear, and those axes are charging up with each turn that goes by. So we'll see if either player really can close. But right now, I would give a slight edge to Nyama, actually, just because of
The
spell
spear and
books they've
axes?
taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, the spear is
Yeah, he's charging up both the spear and the axes. So late game, he can maybe get some powerful damage off, and that would kind of help negate some of the prot shield that Unity has.
Right, and at the end of the day, you don't have to do anything flashy. Just charge up your spells and just go at him. Develop that killer instinct and go at him. And
it seems like Unity doesn't have a good counter to prot and fight. He's not using clock, he's not using spear, he's just flesh wounding, and that's not going to win you the prot battle, which is essential in tense games.
Exactly. Yeah, you can. At the end of the day, when it comes to prot and flight, if you have 1 HP but 100 prot, and they have 50 HP and 10 prot, right? Or like whatever. Like basically, the prots matter more just because you can keep flight.
Beautiful, risky BFDP, and it seemed to work in aim.
Something coming out.
Oh, yeah. He does hit it.
And that's a really good Mega Boulder. Missed one, but not bad at all.
It definitely helped in the tempo war. Oh, go ahead, Harp.
Yeah,
definitely. It's always good to take an extra second or two in a tense game to properly aim your Mega Boulder. And like, if he just spent 1 more second instead of moving closer, he could have got a better Mega Boulder and got off a little more damage.
And Nyama making Nyama's on the chase here, and Unity's on the run. Decides to go for. Go ahead, DX.
We'll see how he chases. Okay, I was thinking he goes to the right side of the map and then he starts pebbling down. And maybe you eat 1 or 2 burning sands ticks, but you have the tempo, you have prot coming up. You could probably go for that. By not doing that and opting for kind of just like keeping distance, you give comeback recovery potential. You're still on turn 27 or so it's not a huge deal. You still have time to close the game. But...
Yeah, it feels like Nyama is kind of at a loss of what to do now. Mm-hmm. The best thing to do, as you said, would be to have TP'd to the right and started pebbling down. Just chase him, because he just pebbled a tree. It's not really gonna open up anything. He has to like somehow get to Unity, and TPing is the easiest way to do that. And now Unity is gonna be able to recover quite a bit with this flight prot.
Yeah, and he could have even flown over. There was a hole opening, and but like you said, if you don't feel comfortable flying over, if you if you're like, hey, like I don't want to be in the Armageddon potentially, yeah, you could TP. Like he just TP'd, you just TP too. And now you're in a risky spot. You could get sunk here if. What does he choose to do though? And he
Oh,
Oh, that almost worked. Crazy enough. But just a small piece of land saved Nyama.
like the axes are coming out, and he has spear up two, and he opts to flesh wound. Flesh wound's not going to do too much for you here.
it really does seem like he doesn't have any counter fight and prop.
Yeah.
He
Go
you
ahead.
know, Nyama's just putting on the damage right now, and the burning sands are coming. Unity has to get out of there. Yeah.
Now...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. It's like Oh, he has portal too. Okay, he could have used portal earlier too then.
Yeah,
Go
it would
ahead.
have also been great to use Portal, like you said. Alright, tree to block
Yeah.
it off, but he can get through that, actually. I think.
Yeah, now if you necessarily don't want to fly over and, you know, it is a bit of micro maybe to like dodge the Armageddons, you could TP. You get mudded or whatever, you could tower, flash out. You have options. You don't want to give Unity too much leeway into coming back. He does have those life dues. And this is a little risky too. We'll see if Unity has a tree maybe or something like that he could use to kind of stall the game out for himself, or maybe try to get a sync off. He drains him
just
off.
misses. That was the right
Yeah.
idea for sure, but this is gonna be a big spear
It
now.
was- yeah. Tough angle. Does he have spear up off CD? He opts to just use axes. And it's either, I know he has spear next on his next turn. And looks like he just sinks himself and goes. Now there is a flight path. We'll see if Emma sees it. Yep, he's got it. He's got it. And he kind of rushed out a little bit. When you can't get that spell off, sometimes just make sure your movement's good and focus on the next turn. It happens, right? Like, this should be an easy pebble shot.
Yeah, Unity's out of Arcane Gate. The burning sands are hitting him. He's in a very rough spot. It's looking like a good game.
Yeah, and they both have, you know, their respective books and strategies and everything like that. Unity had a little bit of a tempo early, in some sense, but you know, they both, I think, had opportunities to kind of take control of this game. But again, these are like two new players, and relative to when they started playing the game, I think it's pretty impressive to see.
Sure. We'll
See
see
how
if
far they-
Unity changes his book up for the next games. They're not going into it instantly. Or if Nyama decides to pull out a new book of their own.
Yeah, I think that could be risky, right? I mean, if you're kind of a new player, whether it's off a win or loss, just taking spells that you're not necessarily familiar with, I think that could be very risky because you might not know what spells cover specific niches for each other, right? Like, okay, this spell's for digging, this spell's for like detowering, this spell's for, you know, chip damage or whatever. And I think with both of their respective books, either of them could win. I think it's possible. You just have to, at the end of the day, make the right calls. I think it comes down to that a little bit more than just, you know, what spells they take.
Yeah, I would tend to agree.
That doesn't mean these are like optimized books. Like I think a lot of people are questioning, does the fire shield make sense or this or that, but I don't think they're both making enough mistakes where it shouldn't necessarily come down to spells. Is kind
Yeah,
of what I'm getting at.
it offsets the spellbook building
Yeah.
gap per se. It's more so
Yeah.
about the gameplay. And this time Unity bringing Spear and starting to charge it up, so looks like they did change up their book in some way.
Hmm.
At least he has a good flight and proc counter. And Nyama goes for the early axes, turn 3. By turn 33, I believe, they would have their full power charge at 100 damage. So it's good to get that over with. He has his bank set up. He has a lot of spells that can be useful on like dead turns. So that's good.
Yeah, dead turns is really key because you're gonna have a lot of turns where you're just moving, and you don't necessarily have a way to either, take away from the other opponent's turn, or like build up some sort of advantage. So like being able to prot shield or summon or something, or charge your spear up. Those in between moves are really core. So at least you're doing something.
Yeah, we saw that Nyama managed to get the pebbles to hit the spear, so that'll be one charge that Unity doesn't get, but now he's in a position where, yeah, Unity can start putting a pressure on him. Reveals a Pinecone. Very interesting choice. We saw Nev do this also in Group D earlier. What are your thoughts on this spell, guys? Oh! Oh no!
Wow.
Worst case scenario.
That was really unfortunate. But Unity here should be able to close, in theory. It would be very hard to come back from this.
Yeah, 250 to 3. Pretty much next to no chance, right? I mean, doesn't have aura it seems, but just almost any damage will kill.
All you really gotta do is just, run at him.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, like, even if Nyama towers, pebbles will go through the tower and kill.
Yeah, even with prod shield, just run at the guy. And he can't really like jump in the water or anything, his HP is too low.
I mean,
it seems like that's what he's doing. Yeah, he's just running at the guy or flying.
I mean, I don't mind the Q, and it's probably better you just like get to the guy as fast as possible. Even if you Q, I mean, the movement is good enough.
Right. What he does here.
Arcane
Arc
Bomb
is great. Yeah, because you can chip away at him a little bit.
Might even sink.
It does.
Okay. That's
that
great.
might be game, actually.
He might have 1 HP, I think. Or 5 HP. Yeah, I think you have to be at 6 for that to kill. Oh, but the Arma kills anyway.
Yeah, Arma did the work.
But yeah, going back to what you said, Ink, about a Pinecone as a spell, it's interesting, but I think my issue with it would be reliability, because depending on the angle you're at, maybe you get like 50 damage off, maybe 55 damage off, maybe you get 70 damage off, and sometimes you just want to know like how much damage are you really getting. It just necessitates certain angles, and if you're okay with that little like range of damage, then I think it's cool. It has a lot of knockback, which I don't think helps too much on a map like this, because you have all these blocks and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would still opt for Clocker Spear. But I'm not saying it can't work. It's just you have to be okay with that unreliability, potentially.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're into game 3 now, and somewhat similar start to all the previous games. Nyama starting to charge up their axes and spears. And looks like Unity is as well. This time has flight as well. But mostly a repeat of, you know, the previous games. Just charging up spells, light prodding. And Nyama moving towards the middle of the map, so we'll see what this position change results in.
They're just both charging up their spears. They're having similar game plans.
Very
And so
similar.
might be critical on whoever strikes first.
So he takes away the action of grabbing the spear, which makes it so Nyama's cooldown on spear doesn't come back up, and that life 2 is back up for him in the future. He could arc bomb here, but I think right now, okay, so he just opts to tower. Nyama could opt for double D tower, or he could just say, you know what, I'm gonna D-tower you another way. I'm gonna just stack my prots.
Weird BFTP waste there, because that doesn't really reset the cooldown, does it?
Yeah, maybe his idea was he wanted to make space so he can grab his spear.
Oh yeah, that too, for sure. But yeah, it didn't really work.
Yeah, and that pebble shot didn't work out for him either. Now, if you're Unity, you kind of just go and chip away at those prots as best as you can. Maybe get some mud balls off. And instead, okay, you opt to spear.
Maybe
And,
Nyama could go for a nice Mega Bowler here, and that would help him get some initiative.
He definitely could, yeah.
Beautiful
gets
Mega.
Yeah, he gets 3 of those ticks off. Now, Unity's health is still pretty decent, and he almost hits him into the life dew, which would have been quite nice. Quite nice for the guy.
The issue for Nyama is how far they fell down with no flight. Now Unity has the high ground and can start chipping away. Well, they decide, screw that. I'm just gonna go to you and start pebbling you.
Yeah, and if you could have kept that high ground and just pebbled him from the left of the life dew, it would have been in a really good spot, because even if you got damaged, you could take the life dew later. Like if he speared you there, you could take that life dew and be at like 211, and you'd probably be in a good spot to keep trading, especially with the mushroom. You'd be at like what, 226 or something. So, and you'd have the high ground, which is always nice. So it's these little details that do make a difference. But looks like Nyama's probably going to fly away and prot. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, not a bad idea at all. Unity towering here. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about the towering there. See what happens. So Nyama, I just kind of flash out and just make my way through those blocks and go aggro. Even if Unity prots here. Now he can fly it now to the right side. Now if I'm Nyama, yeah, I just go and spear or attack from the top. Yeah,
Might be
and
hard to navigate.
Yeah, those flight mechanics are really like crucial.
Oh, a Q from Nyama in a crucial spot. That could be very costly.
Very, 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 very devastating there. By hugging the top border, I think Unity has BFTP, right? So by hugging that top border, Mud Ball isn't going to be effective. Let's see what he does here. He just opts for the axes. They're not necessarily maybe like very imposing. Let's see what happens here. There's some opportunities, yeah.
Seems like it could go either way right now.
Yeah, they're both feeling the pressure. You can kind of tell. They're both definitely feeling the pressure.
Well, Nyama's gonna have a little bit of initiative here. Oh, but doesn't quite get the peps.
Yeah, and that's where like maybe a BFTP would come in handy to just get that proper angle. You could be like BFTP that mud or something.
That's
And
exactly what Unity does.
yeah, that's exactly what Unity does. So BFTP does come in handy in a lot of various scenarios than you may think. But we'll see if Unity can press any sort of lead if he follows up in spears. Or if he just prots himself. I think if you prot yourself, you just use your tower cooldown. Again, though, this also comes down to flight speed and you know how many mistakes you make in flight. If you kind of hit the map a lot and you're not necessarily too used to moving around, and we see almost a good Mega Boulder, but
A bit suboptimal, no.
it's suboptimal, yeah, because Unity's still really healthy.
Or
Is that
reverse
the
flash might be an option here.
Is that the second Mega or?
Yeah, that is the second Mega, I believe. I
Good
believe
spear
Nyama's used
has some
both.
decent damage.
Good damage, but like what closures do you have? You have axes, I guess, right?
Unity
Flash
gonna
here,
go for
maybe.
a flash, yep. Or Arc Bomb, rather.
And now Unity has a decent central position, so whatever way that Nyama teleports, Unity can chase him pretty efficiently. And the sides are also being hit by a lot of burning sands, so Nyama's options are kind of limited. Besides the left area by the tree, but he decides to teleport there.
He opts for the life do.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
interesting decision to life do there just to trap the tower out. I don't
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Unity and I have these life dues, hell, I might want to use them on myself. You know, just get that 80 HP or whatever. Now you are still in a decent spot. I mean, Mageddon helped a little bit in those life dues. He summoned the bank on him, but he ended up damaging his own tower quite a bit. We'll see if our friend Nyama can capitalize, though. He's not prodded. And he gets a good axe. Good set of
And it
axes.
sends him into the burning sands.
Yeah, we'll see if he can get a good maybe BFTP Mega or something off on him here. Yeah.
very
2,
solid.
3, 4 into the Arma. Yeah. Okay, now let's see. Prod
Oh.
shield. Okay.
Does Mega Suicide not work here? I think that'll leave him with 1 HP.
From the depends what part you do it from. So if you're on top, I think it could do 102 to you, and then if you're like on the bottom, it could do 100 max on you. So like Nyama would have ate 100. Unity could have ate 102, but it also depends on
Yeah, this is a very aggressive TP here.
yeah. Very aggressive indeed.
Does Nyama don't have any Mega Boulders left? If he if he needed a Mega, that could have been. Yes.
No, Emma doesn't have any Megas yet left. Okay, jumps in the water. Decides to TP far away. But Nyama's in a very precarious position. Yeah, that's why.
Oh.
Burning Sands.
Tough luck. Tough luck.
Well, we'll see if... I believe Unity said they do want to join in for an interview. We'll see if Nyama wants to too. I'll switch us over to the interview interface.
Seems like the cryo Miley game ended, and cryo won that out. Interesting. But yeah, interesting game by two new players.
Yeah, pretty close sets. End up going 2-1. All right, both of them are going to be joining us momentarily. And I will drag them in.
Got 94.
Oh, welcome in, Nyama and Unity. GG's to both of you.
We both played like shit, to be honest. We both agreed.
Well, what were your thoughts on, I mean, the 3 games you played? You know, take us through it. Like, let us hear it.
I think game 1, I hadn't practiced and I was really, really cold, so I was definitely slow start, and he was playing well, and I just made too many mistakes. And then second game, the shock bomb gave me like the momentum that I needed, and then third game for the tiebreaker, still like a really close match.
Yeah, it was really back and forth between you two. One thing we commented, Unity, for game 1, we were, concerned maybe your book didn't have a real good solution for Nyama's flight prot, like you were just using flesh wounds. But it seemed that maybe you changed your book game 2. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, so I actually forgot javelin in my first book when I was putting it together, and so I didn't have anything to take him out of flight protection. So like normally I would be flesh wounding, deflighting, and then like kind of doing improving moves while the flesh wound is chipping away at him, and I didn't have a way to get rid of the flight, so that sort of presented a problem.
Yeah, I understand. I've been there, done that. Sometimes you just make a book on the whim, and you forget to take a spell. Something like for me, for some reason, it's typically flight that I forget. But spear, missing that crucial spell, it did hurt you quite a bit. But I think once you incorporate in your book, it was a lot better for you. You had more solutions to the flight prot. You also had a way to build up damage like Nyama was doing with the spear and axes, and it worked out well for you. Nyama, going into game 3, we saw you didn't really make any changes to your book like throughout the series. You were just sort of riding with it, comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Did you at any point, like after game 2, did you consider changing your book, or are you just saying, no, this is my book, I'm comfortable with it, I'm writing with it through the whole series, if I lose, I lose?
Yeah, I definitely felt most comfortable with it. Before today, I was trying a little practice matches, trying to switch it up a little bit, and every time I just wanted to go back to this same book, so no changes.
We saw something interesting you took was axes, which, to your credit, Unity brought Flame Shield, and axes are a spell that goes through Flame Shield. A pretty unusual, like it's an interaction we don't see very often. So I'm wondering if that was one of the reasons you brought that spell, because we don't see it that often. But of course, if that's the use case for it, then it's quite interesting. Was that the reason you brought it? Is it for potential Flame Shield for your opponent?
No, I wasn't exactly thinking Flame Shield, to be honest. I think it was really just like the first book I tried when I signed up for the qualifiers. I signed up with like 5 minutes left and just threw something together. And then I noticed a lot of the games were pretty long, so they ended up working out really well. Just once they get above 50 damage, you could deflight, and yeah.
Interesting choice. I don't know if we I don't know if I have any other questions. Oh yeah, Unity. Question for you. something that you brought that we were surprised about was Life Dew. Wondering what are your thoughts on bringing that spell, deciding to bring that spell, something that also people don't use very much.
So his like really good answer to Life Dew was Blood Bank, but if Blood Bank is unavailable, it just limits movement so much. It's kind of like, especially on normal maps, maybe not so much, but on alt sand map, you're so boxed in that if you can place one of those and kind of have somebody either stuck in the Arma or prevent them from being able to get to you without being stunned, it forces them to either summon a minion or to let themselves get stunned, destroy some terrain, but they still can't get any closer to you. So I feel like it's just a really good control spell for this map in particular.
That move when
And yeah,
the javelin was really good.
Interesting. Yeah, we know. So actually, Unity, Val's told me you were an OG player. You actually claimed to have gotten quite high on the leaderboards. Would that be a correct assessment? Is that the truth?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, in like I want to say it was like 2012, but it's hard to remember the exact years. I was over 4,000 on OG Arcanist. I also played a lot of Steel Sentinels and Kickabout League. Kickabout League was like my big, like, I was a monster at that game. But I was good on Arc, and then I was a fighter for a long period of time, and I ended up getting nerve damage in my hands, so I've kind of had to relearn my motor skills when it comes to playing video games.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's pretty rough. It's not by nerve damage you mean like something separate. I know there's like carpal tunnel, which can be really really painful. It's not, but you're not referring to carpal tunnel, correct? You're referring to like
No, it was cartilage degradation. So like
oh, okay.
normally when you're fighting and you punch people over time, you build calluses and like your knuckles get tougher so that they can withstand more force. Same thing with like, because I did Muay Thai, so like you would kick things with your shins to build calluses on your shins so that you could apply more power without hurting yourself. And my hands, the cartilage degrades faster than it builds back up, so it started damaging the nerves in my hands. So I ended up having to quit fighting, and there was a while there where I couldn't play video games almost at all.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, it's good to see. I hope you're having fun coming back to video games. I hope your nerve damage is at least mostly resolved, so that you don't have to deal with the pain anymore. I can understand that it can be pretty brutal, not being able to play a hobby because of that. But yeah, on that note, I want to say GG's. Congratulations on the win. You will be playing none other than Nev next. How do you feel about going into that match?
Better than I did about having DX be my absolute first qualifier.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more warmed up now. I'm just playing him. I'm gonna focus more on not making mistakes than trying to make big plays.
Gotcha. And Nyama, although you did lose this match, you're not out of it yet. You can still make a run through the lower bracket and qualify to the playoffs that way. You'll be facing off against Summon Pimps, I believe. Let me double check if I have that right. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that match?
Kind of the same, just try to focus on not making as many mistakes. There were so many times I messed up, and like, of course, that round 2 shock bomb on myself was brutal. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try not to hit myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, like I think the second game probably could have gone either way up until the point. Like even if he missed that shock bomb, I think he probably still was in the game. But when he took that damage, and he was in that good of a position to get mega bouldered, it was kind of just done from there.
For sure, yeah. And then after that 258 to 3 HP lead, you just ran at him. We were saying, yeah, just run at the guy. It doesn't even matter if you Q. And, saw the result. But Yeah, it was a pretty brutal mistake. A little unfortunate the game ended that way because it was, like you said, it was a pretty interesting match developing. But yeah, I want to say on that note, once again, congratulations, Unity. You did play the series excellently, and I want to wish you, Nyama, good luck against Summon Pimps, your next matchup, and all your future matchups. And Unity, I want to wish you luck against Nev and also any other future matchups you may have. Thanks for coming in,
Thanks,
guys.
And thanks for playing with me, Niam. It was a good time.
Yeah, thank you guys, and GG's Unity. Congrats.
GG's.
GG's.
Hold on,
Alright.
guys.
Alright then. Well, that concludes Nyama and Unity. I believe there are going to be other games, but I don't think we're going to cover them tonight because it's been. I mean, how long has the stream been? 2 hours. We'll go on a short intermission. I suppose I know DX said he wants to head out, but we'll see if we can. We'll see. We'll contemplate continuing the broadcast. If not, then this will be our last match. So we'll be right back, everyone. Hello everyone, welcome back. We will have indeed one last match tonight. It will be back to the group of death. We will have the winners finals matchup in the group of death. So the winner of this match will end up going to none other than the playoffs. For this one, it's going to be Spork and Cryo. Very highly anticipated. DX, Harp, thoughts on this matchup?
You want to go first, Harp?
These are both some of the best tens players in the game. I think it's gonna be just a really good match. I think it could swing either way. Sport's probably slightly more in form right now, but yeah, either way.
Yeah, I would say I feel the same way. I think Spork is also in this match similar to his match against Harpo. He is slightly probably favored, but you cannot count Cryo out. Cryo is someone that can absolutely beat you if he's feeling good about what he's taking, his strategy. He has a game plan going. He is very top notch. So this could go his favor. We just have to see kind of how the game develops. I don't know what his playstyle was like against Miley Hannah. I don't know exactly how he played. I didn't get a chance to see that game, so it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, something interesting about Cryo, he took a very unusual mix in the qualifier. He actually took a vampire mix, which is something you don't really think of for tens. Vampire and tens, a bunch of blood spells put together. Very unorthodox, and that's something that Cryo can sometimes, have a strong strength to, taking very unorthodox stuff, throwing his opponents off. DX, Harp, I know you two are more familiar with Spork's playstyle than I am. How do you feel he fares in book matchups where his opponent's taking a very unconventional playstyle?
My take is that it's a way to beat him. I think for sure. I think he's definitely he'll play a little cautiously until he kind of has a game plan going for himself. He's not necessarily a reckless player. What I've seen, he wants to have a game plan in mind and kind of go for it. And if you can throw him off and use spells that doesn't expect, you can kind of get him on the back foot. You can get into panic, and you can kind of beat him out that way. I think in a very conventional generic matchup, let's say they both brought very kind of generic spells or whatever, I think Spork's definitely favored, but
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if Cryo does go for something unconventional, or if he sticks to something more akin to a generic 10G book. Well, these two are going to start momentarily. I will let them know the stream is ready. And yeah, we will be underway in just seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, Cryo versus Spork, winners bracket, winners finals for Group B. Winner gets to the playoffs. And still a little slow to start. They'll be, like I said, they'll be starting any minute now.
They're probably taking some time to consider what books they're taking,
Yeah,
book matchup is going to be key to this.
Yeah, Spork just said Cryo needs a sec. Alright, we are underway. Game 1. And
okay.
looking at the level 3s, no level 3s on Cryo's side, so both of them mixed books.
Yeah, and looks like Cryo's changing up his color scheme. He's deviating away from that blue and white scheme he's traditionally used, and new year, new Cryo.
Yeah, seems like it. Or maybe he just wants to feel a bit more, into the map, wants a costume that's more themed to the map, because blue, not really the best.
Yeah, and looks like they have both Flight SS. So this is if you go off what I just said, I think in a matchup like this, Spork might be a little more favored. I think positioning wise, if you hug the border, does he have BFTP? Does he have BFTP? Yes, he does. But I would not have jumped that way. I would've-
Oh no!
All the way off the map.
No, you had to jump to the left. Why are you jumping to the right? If he jumped to the left, he had a mud ball kind of opener, but now Spork, if he plays his cards right, he could definitely go ahead and try to close this game out. And he throws a shock bomb. And Cryo's best bet here is probably just to respawn with a mud ball, and just try to stall as much as he can, but he's gonna have to also burn those mushrooms. A bit early. He's not completely out of the woods yet, but it's not necessarily looking good. Spork might just opt to TP out here. Okay, he chooses the tower. Both were probably okay moves. Cryo doesn't really have a way to counteract that. See what he chooses to do. So
Summons
Cryo's
a
just trying to
swarm.
zone Spork off.
Yeah, yeah, he's just like you said. Oh, mistake from Spork
Shock
though.
bomb, shock bomb. Shock bomb works here, and that could potentially sink him. Oh, you can do a flash, maybe a flash play. If he sacked his swarm on the SS, he could have potentially tried to do a flash sink. Although I don't know if that land there at the bottom could have kind of caught him off. Spork has to be a little careful here. He does have BFTP. Cryo does have BFTP. So Cryo can definitely BFTP here and go for a, or doesn't even need to BFTP. He can just use his swarm here and he can just drain him off. He just opts to shock bomb. I don't think that will hit him.
It will.
Yeah. So that doesn't end up hitting him. Or like I hit Cryo, I meant.
Oh yeah, that would have been disaster to hit Cryo.
Yeah. So thankfully for Cryo, it doesn't hit him. He uses that swarm to kind of protect himself a little bit, and gets a bank out. Doesn't seem like he has drain. I feel like if he had drain, he would have probably used it there. Just from my experience, he does see shock bomb here. Shock bomb's a good angle.
And he got the perfect angle.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes you have to really respect Spork's speed. I assume Cryo now goes all the way to the left.
Yeah, correct.
Now let's see how.
So Spork unfortunately doesn't have flight, but some good movement here. He'll be able to cross the map in a few turns.
Yeah, he just has to get, he gets his swarm out. He gets a prod up. He should be able to go to the left if he goes down first. Yeah, it's just not looking good for Cryo, no matter how you splice it. Spork's not generally a type of player to kind of lose these leads. It is a bit rare. I don't usually see it where Spork has a massive lead like this. We kind of saw it. This is reminiscent of his game against Harpo. Essentially, you have that very early game under and Spork just kind of goes. So it's kind of exactly how it played out against Harpo. Spork just capitalizes on it. Again, the clock comes out here. And I'm sure like Cryo's hoping for like a Q or something, but nothing really just favors him here. Mud ball, okay.
Probably a tower out.
Yeah, that jump and sinking yourself very early on, like turn 3, whatever, that just, you can't make mistakes like that.
Yeah, it is a very big mistake. And Cryo's gonna jump off to the other side of the map. Doesn't have much choice here.
Right. And now
He's gonna
Spork
probably jump over and maybe pebble. Oh,
doesn't. The thing is, Spork has a lot of filler moves. He has shock shield. He has Prot Shield. No matter what he does, as long as he moves forward, he has some good moves here. And now it looks like he'll probably just Pebble down. And if he can get some damage off on Cryo, then he can follow that up with a TP, finish off. Even if Cryo can Mudball him here. So yeah, now he's in kill range, and you know, your only move is the tower, but then you get pebbled anyways.
He's gonna try to block the bank and then get it.
Yeah, I would say this match is pretty over. If I'm Cryo, I'm already thinking about like my next game, and
Oh, he goes for the swag version of the kill. No, not gating, but portal grabbing.
yeah, Spork's definitely, you know, playing with a vengeance. You know, this is Spork's. You know, Spork's been vying for a LTS win tournament for, you know, quite a while now. So I think this might be his season. If he keeps playing like this, he's playing very well.
Yeah, hasn't made really any mistakes so far in his gameplay. We'll see if that changes in game 2 now, as it's begun, but both players again flight prodding, and Cryo opting for an arc bomb to get out of a tree. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a great trade for Cryo. Now Spork's gonna, you know, you would say, okay, Spork can go for like the shock shield or whatever, but
Oh, misses the shock bomb!
yeah, I'm not a huge fan. Like, if you're Spork, you don't have Prot Shield up yet at this point. You don't have a Shock Shield up at this point, and he does. He has all those things. Now, I don't know what Cryo's doing. It looks like he's going for that Shock Bomb. He gets it off. Personally, I would just go for that Shock Shield. But it looks like he's going for damage early on, which is fine. Arc Bomb into Spork can also do maybe like 20 damage or something. So these arc bombs are great. If he does it again, that burns another mud, and that'll be great chip damage. Is like Cryo's definitely winning these trades right now. I think Spork, he again is very reminiscent. He made the same mistakes that he made against Harpo in game 2 again. Essentially, and Cryo does a great job here eating that Swarm Aura and Shock Shielding. But he made the same mistake where he kind of got like too antsy, like, hey, like I got this, and he went for that Shock Bomb and didn't hit himself this time, but he didn't do himself any favors by missing it. And now Cryo has, I would have just Arc Bombed it straight up and, you know, just kind of go for it. But by using BFTP, you can potentially just get out for free, although you do need some more movement. Now, the way Sporks is moving, though, is that he's making it a little easier for Cryo, because Cryo just has to BFTP out, go down a little bit, and then Prot Shield. He doesn't necessarily need to do too much on this turn itself. I wouldn't move the Swarm too much on this turn itself either. I would focus more on the Prot Shield. I would have moved down a little bit more, rather than moving that Swarm a little bit. And then I would have Prot Shielded it up so that I can threaten a Spork with my Shock Shield. But instead he's opting to move that Swarm over. So he's now, look, Cryo, you know, he had a great lead. And at the end of the day, you have to play in a very particular way to maintain it. And he does have Portal. Okay, so Cryo does have Portal. And if Spork goes for a Swarm here, does he have Tree? Yes, so he's gonna Tree.
That's gonna
portal,
block
and
off
now
the portal,
has to-
yeah.
Does Cryo have a good filler move, like a bank or something, so that... Okay, yeah, he does. I would have thought, okay, maybe he could have used SB there, but he had maybe half a second left. I don't think he had enough time to necessarily charge it. I don't know what his flight cooldown looks like here. I don't think he necessarily would have it. But I would move that bank over a little bit, and just kind of mudball Spork here. And see, does he try to lob a SB here?
Yeah, this is an
That's
SB
very
well play.
risky.
It might
It's risky.
hit.
I think it hits. I think
Oh,
it
it
hits.
misses.
Oh, wow,
Oh, that's
not.
devastating.
That is very bad. That's very
Get
bad
a
for him.
shock bomb, a clock.
Anything, Mega Boulder, anything works here. Cryo's in an awful position now. He was winning for that early game lead, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you play like one part of the game well. You have to play all the parts of the game well. And Cryo's major mistakes were when he basically moved his swarm a little bit more than his player himself, and then he kind of opted to use the portal to get to Spork. He kind of wasted too many turns, and by wasting too many turns, Spork was able to just kind of get his tempo back for himself. So again, you cannot when you're playing a player like Spork, the sequencing of all your movements and all your turns and what spells you use matters a lot. Because if you mess that up, then you're going to give comeback potential. And, Spork is, one of the top LTS players. And you really can't give him comeback potential like that. So Cryo, played well early. But again, you have to be able to play the whole part, not just that early part well. But yeah, cool match by both of them. Kind of unfortunate for Cryo, given game 1, but game 2 he did much better. He just probably needs to refine his ability to kind of close in in leads.
Yeah, for sure. Well, looks like Spork will take this series. He'll be the first person to get through the playoffs. We'll see if either of them want to come in for an interview. So, Spork has said yes, so he will be in here shortly, as he does have TO access, and Cryo declines an interview. So we'll just be hearing from Spork. And welcome in, Spork. GG's, and congrats on the win.
Thank you.
How are you feeling about those 2 matches?
It's kind of hard to say. The first game was definitely a little, well, it was a dicey play to go for the jump, of course. I think we all know this. So that game was kind of like, I don't know. As after that point, like when you have like a high level LTS gameplay, if there's one major mistake, it usually can decide the game pretty quickly, even on a large map like this. And like it's not like he didn't just lose the HP and whatnot; he also lost his shock shield. So by that point, it's really hard to come back because he lost that piece of tempo you had as well. Second game though was more interesting. I definitely. I'm certainly not feeling. I thought Shock Bomb was more reliable for that situation, but I thought it had a chance of failing when I put it Shock Bomb the tree. I'm personally gonna probably going forward just not use Shock Bomb like that because it's not really worth it.
It's very
Yeah.
high reward type of play.
Yeah, I do not like Shock Bomb when it's on like terrain that's not flat. And I think one of the advantages you have here is that there's a lot of flat terrain. So it's very good in a lot of situations. Like in the second game, I liked how I liked the situation where there was that shock bomb I could just go for like above him. So it's a really strong spell overall, but it can also like almost bait you into using it wrong and making a mistake. And then that can really cause a game to go over on its side quickly.
Yeah, it's a very
so I just
seductive
play
play.
careful.
It's like, 80 damage. I don't have to expend a clock, and it's going to do a lot of damage and put them on the back foot. It's like it's really tempting to use, and you have to like commit to it. You can't like second guess yourself. Like, okay, if I'm going to fire this shock bomb, I have to be confident I'm going to hit it. And if you're like, I'm not so confident, and I might try to do something else, it might mess you up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Though overall, I thought it was a good series. Yeah, I had some interesting moments. I think the second game definitely had me stressed out. After that point, like, how am I going to come back? So So I just kind of tried to play my distance, and ultimately was kind of able to come back. And then, really towards the end there, cryo also had a shock bomb that didn't quite work out. So shock bomb's like one of those spells where it's just like, I feel like in this tournament, you could probably pull some statistics that like it's probably failed quite like shock bombs overall because everyone's running it are probably failing quite often. It really is a risky spell to use.
Yeah, it can be
I
very
think
risky.
O is certainly the best. O is certainly the best at lobbing it that I've seen. But even then, I've seen him fail it too. So it's just I don't know. It's a spell that's, I think, if used correct, like if used like very consistently, would be extremely dominant. So whoever really figures out how to make use of it in all situations without like really failing it at all, is gonna be really dominant.
So, something I wanted to ask about the book matchup. Both games, both took SS mixes. Typically, it's not that common to see both players take SS mixes. Especially in like other settings like, Tengrassi. Typically, if somebody does take an SS mix, the other person has like generic or Sank mix. How did you feel about playing that matchup? Did you feel comfortable against cryo in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think SS isn't as common nowadays. In like, if you look at Grassy, it's not as common. I think partially because it's mainly on 7 seconds now. 10 seconds is a whole different ballgame though. In 10s, you have so much more time to make use of like SS and also use it with Swarm, which is also relevant here because on 7s, you trying to balance using minions and then also using SS is hard. On 10s, there's just more time to do it. And you're going to see it more than like Dark Fortress as well because Sank is just not very common here. Sank's just not very good on this map. And Mantrap's not very good. So I think the combination of those things will make SS more common. And like even Shock Bomb's a pretty good spell, once again, if it can be used consistently. Shock Shield gives you a lot of value if you can really press an advantage with it. Also, it's very good for killing minions. Good for killing Bank, good for killing Swarm. So, yeah, we may be seeing it more, I would imagine.
Yeah, it seems like certain minions have trouble on this map or aren't as strong compared to other maps because it's a little bit of a bigger map. There's more stuff to navigate, like the different blocks, and then the Burning Sands can just chip away at them randomly. So they're still effective. Like the Swarm is still going to be strong, and it still is pretty centralized into the meta, but it's not going to have as much potency.
Well, I think what makes Swarm different than most minions is its immediate effectiveness. When you cast it, you already get 15 damage, and someone has to immediately deal with it, or they're just going to keep taking 15 damage. Like every other spell, most other minions just do not behave that way, with the exception of like Worm. But Swarm is just a better Worm on this map. Yeah. Also, with Mantrap in particular, it cannot like. Usually, you want to be able to use it to get double drains or to like block certain positions, but like it's not very mobile on this map because everything's so closed off and it can't fit through the gaps.
And even if you do block a hole with it, there's still other kind of like holes you can navigate through. So it's kind of limited in its blocking potential.
Yeah.
So Spork, we're all wondering, when it comes to closing, you're able to always close when you get a slight lead. What's your secret?
I think mechanics are part of it, right? If you're, especially on this map, like flight mechanics are really important because I think flight helps to close. Just be able to get across the map quickly. Being able to move quickly through the corridors is important. And just being able to like quickly chase them.
When Cryo had a small lead on you in game 2, when you kind of had to TP and get away from him, why do you think he wasn't able to kind of close in on you?
Well, for starters, I think he.
After you
I
missed that
think.
shot?
Yeah. I think if we kind of deconstructed it, I mean, there was an opportunity for him to maybe like teleport on me with SS, and if that might have helped out. Although I did like part of it was I tried to make a lot of distance quickly by taking advantage of the verticality of the map. So like I walked down all the way to the bottom because I knew two things. One, teleporting on me would be very difficult, and two, he can't even micro swarm to me in time because I'm using the falling to make myself go further than you can even physically fly a minion in 10 seconds. So I don't know. Distancing is very important there. I think Cryo had the opportunity to close though. The shock bomb definitely didn't help, and with that it would have been harder because he had bank up at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So he would have gotten. It wouldn't have just like done 80 damage to me. It would have healed him by what is that, like 16 damage, 16 health. So I don't know what I would have done in that case. It would have been harder.
Well, you're in the playoffs now, man. How do you feel? You feel like this is your tournament? What's your mind mentality like?
I mean, I thought every tournament would be my tournament, and you know, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I do think I have more of an advantage on this tournament than others because of flight being so valuable and the corridors being so hard to fly through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm going to be trying to capitalize on. It's just being able to move faster than whoever I'm playing against. But I don't know how far that ultimately, the game is very much not just about mechanics. And macro gameplay is also supported by this map as well, with how separated things are and how the armor works. So we'll see.
Yeah, and you have a lot of experience with like flight books, and you're gonna know like the right lines to play in certain situations just by pure intuition. Where like DX can kind of trip you up is that he plays flightless books, so it creates more of like a diversity of lines that might have not necessarily have explored before, but that's going to be harder for him to provide that kind of unpredictability. Or for someone like Cryo, like a flightless book that could create some uncertainty.
I will say I think it will be harder to run flightless on this map than like Dark Fortress, for example. I mean, in Dark Fortress, flightless was really the meta. I think in the top, like in the finals, in semifinals, everyone was running flightless. On this one, way less clear if flightless is even good to use. I'm not even. I'm still not convinced that flightless is really that effective. I think to make flightless good, you really need some very good setup, and leap is probably also going to be important. Or
really
recall. Recall might be, but I don't know about recall.
Yeah, you get tree chipped by Burning Sands.
Yeah, I feel like early and mid game it would work well, but you have to really press the advantage with it. Because by late game, trying to manage the recalls with the Burning Sands would be very difficult. But I've seen, I don't know who started it. I think DX might have started it. I've seen several people bringing it now, so I'm interested to see how that strategy looks.
I am too, actually. That was something that surprised me. I saw DX bring it out because I hadn't been like paying attention too much to the meta. So when I first encountered it, I was quite surprised. But yeah, it's an interesting choice. Well, on that note, I think is there anything else you want to add, Spork, regarding the tournament, the set, or shall we wrap it up here?
No, I don't have anything else to add. Just really looking forward to seeing how everyone else plays, and
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing more competitive games.
Yep, for sure. Well, in that case, thank you, Spork, for coming in for the interview. Congratulations on topping the group of death, or as we like to call it, as many people like to call it. And we wish you the best of luck in the playoffs.
Yep. Thank you, and once again, my opponents both played really, really well today. So, I know only one of them will be able to make it, which is going to be kind of sad, since there's some talent that's lost going into the top 8. But I hope to see some really, really interesting games to see who will make it. Yep. Thank you.
Yep, thank you for coming in. Have a good night, man.
Take it, Rob.
You too.
Well, on that note, just before I conclude the broadcast, I will say that that will be the last match we'll have tonight broadcasted. There might be a chance Nevin Unity play tonight, or some other matchup happens tonight. I know Harp and Miley has been talked about too, but for the broadcast portion, we will be wrapping it up here. So before we conclude, before we click the end button, I want to first of all, shout out to our wonderful commentators, Harpo, for coming in, and also for our guest commentator making his debut for Arcanist Tournaments, Strength Power DX. Thank you guys for coming in here, providing your expert insights. You guys are some most knowledgeable players in the game. We very much appreciate it. And if you want to follow myself, the host for today, you can follow myself, Inc., at either of those Twitch or YouTube links. And yeah, I think, is there anything else you two wanted to add before we head off tonight? Harpo,
No,
DX?
I'll probably play Miley tomorrow. So that'll be some fun matches. And then make sure you shout out Strength Power DX's YouTube handle.
Yes. Let me fix the command for that real quick, because, like I said, DX sort of just joined on when I didn't have the command set up.
Yeah, good point.
So DX's YouTube. Pull up the link. And
Yeah, it's a fun set. I still, in my mind, I don't have like a concrete book that I really like. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure things out myself, but hopefully I can figure it out in time. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun commentating. Maybe I'll be back someday.
we'll see.
Thank you.
But thank you for coming in. Appreciate you. Yeah, on that note, I wanted to just say one last thank you all to one last thank you to all the viewers for watching and tuning in tonight. Spending a Saturday night watching some quality tournament games with some very high level gameplay. We hope to see you all soon. Perhaps there will be a broadcast tomorrow if we have some games scheduled. We'll see. If you aren't already in the Discord, make sure to join the Discord so that you too can be alerted anytime there's a stream where we broadcast these wonderful tournament matches. Anyways, thank you all once again for watching, and have a good night, everyone.
Good night, y'all.